You're listening to a Frequency Podcast Network production.
The Brock and Dalby Podcast.
This is the Brock and Dalby Podcast.
Welcome to Monday. My name is Brock. Sadly, rolling solo on this podcast because Dalby was not feeling too well. Hopefully, he's back tomorrow. I do want to say, what the fuck? Bunch of you sent me messages over the weekend reminding me that Saturday was the 5-year anniversary of the Leafs losing to the Zamboni driver, which was ironic because they played the Carolina Hurricanes on Saturday. Although 5 years later, same score, but opposite ends. Leafs won 6-3 when they lost 6-3 5 years ago with David Ayres in net. You know what's weird is when I think about that David Ayres game, it obviously instantly triggers me, but it's also one of the last things I remember happening before the pandemic set out. Isn't that weird? It was like that, and then a week or two later, all of a sudden, we were all locked in our homes. No hockey at all. I blame David Ayres for that, honestly.
The Brock and Dalby Podcast.
The Brock and Dalby Podcast.
Spring training started up for Major League Baseball over the weekend, and the New York Yankees made a huge announcement. For the first time in 49 years, players on the Yankees will be allowed to grow facial hair. Yeah, if you didn't know, back in the day, the old owner, George Steinbrenner, made a rule saying that they couldn't have facial hair because they wanted the team to look professional, which I always thought was a weird rule. I mean, like, beards only really came back in style, I guess, like 10, 15 years ago now. Did beards used to have a weird stigma attached to them? I mean, maybe it was like an old biker guy thing, but I feel like the Yankees treated beards like how people used to treat tattoos, which is another thing that used to be weirdly frowned upon for someone. You remember when you were a kid, if you saw someone or knew someone who had tattoos, they were probably badass or just maybe bad in general. Like, if you're a kid and you saw someone with a neck tattoo, you automatically assume that they were gang affiliated. Now, if you see someone who has a neck tattoo, they're probably just someone who enjoys like a strawberry mocha frappuccino with extra whipped cream from Starbucks. What's something that used to be heavily frowned upon that's totally accepted now? I mean, if you think about it here in Canada, it's the devil's lettuce. You know, that used to be considered the gateway to worse things. If you knew someone who was toking the reefer, they were probably up to no good. Now it seems like everyone's grandma takes edibles.
The Brock and Dalby Podcast.
Just gambling and sports betting.
Oh my God.
It used to be a big thing back in the day. Like, everyone was scared to do it. It was very illegal, and now everybody who has a phone just gambles on every game they can.
Dude, that's so true. You used to have to like go through some sort of sketchy bookie to make a bet, and now it's like...
Yeah.
Every
like
commercial break is advertising it now.
Yeah, actually.
It's weird to think you used to get your legs broke. Now it just shows up on your credit card.
Yeah, actually.
Even in general, I mean, you think about like Pete Rose got banned from Major League Baseball for gambling. And now every single athlete is sponsored by some sort of gambling company. It's the weirdest thing. I've also got friend of the show, Steve, on the phone. Steve, what was something that was frowned upon growing up that's really not anymore?
Oh, I remember when I was a kid, this was back when The Simpsons first came out. I had so many friends that weren't allowed to watch it because their parents thought Bart Simpson would corrupt children.
Dude, The Simpsons was considered like a bad show for kids back in the day. Now it doesn't even compare to like most of the content kids see on TikTok.
Family Guy, South Park, all those shows. It's like, oh my God, Bart Simpson said, "Eat my shorts."
Eat my shorts used to get you detention in school.
Or doing the prank phone call.
Yeah. Now every kid knows how to twerk.
The Brock and Dalby Podcast.
Sadly, rolling solo today because Dalby's sick, but one thing I miss when Dalby's not here is his laugh. He's got one of the greatest laughs of all time. So in honor of Dalby's laugh, I'm doing the top 5 greatest laughs of all time, and everyone always compares him to Seth Rogen, which I think is very accurate. I love that Seth Rogen laugh. It's such a deep stoner laugh. Especially when he takes that huge exhale at the end. Coming in at number 4, I'm going to go with Jimmy Carr. It's so creepy, and I thought it was fake until I saw Jimmy Carr live. And a lot of people say it's cheesy to laugh at your own jokes, but when he does it, it's amazing. Coming in at number 3, I'm going to go with the Kawhi Leonard laugh. Do you remember this clip from a few years ago when he joined the Raptors?
I mean, it's just more question you have to ask me in order for me to tell you about myself. I just can't give you a whole spiel. I don't even know where you're sitting at.
It almost sounds like an uncomfortable laugh. Coming in at number 2, I think you had to pick someone who played the Joker. There were so many different suggestions, whether it was Jack Nicholson or Heath Ledger. But I think Mark Hamill probably has the greatest Joker laugh of all time. And coming in at number 1, it's gotta be the legend himself, Eddie Murphy. It doesn't sound real, right? It doesn't sound real at all. It's so infectious. It's almost like he's like laughing through a tube or something like that. The funny thing is it's a funny laugh, but if you were walking down an alley in the middle of the night and you heard, dude, I'd be scared as hell.
This is the Brock and Dalby Podcast.
Good news if you're a fan of Disturbed. Apparently they have a new album in the works. And frontman David Draymond is saying that they want to do a collaboration with a rapper for a song that they're working on. And he had a suggestion.
The modern day, Walk This Way or Bring the Noise. Yeah. It's very much like that. It's about unity. It's about, it's all about bringing people together. And it needs a strong rapper, whomever that might be. And Kendrick would definitely be an amazing person to collaborate with.
He's, of course, talking about Kendrick Lamar, the dude who just performed at the Super Bowl halftime show. And honestly, I don't see it happening. I feel like Disturbed gets more out of this than that guy ever does. But, I mean, hey, never say never. I would have never thought Linkin Park and Jay-Z would have worked out together. And that Collision Course album was sick. But I can't picture it myself because if you don't know Kendrick Lamar, you've probably heard this song on social media in like a meme or something.
That f*** 'em up. I'ma do my stuff. Why you trolling like a bitch? Ain't you tired? Trying to strike a chord and it's
I can't wrap my head around Disturbed and Kendrick Lamar working together, so I had to try and piece it together myself. Here's how it would go down.
That f*** 'em up. I'ma do my stuff. Why you trolling like a bitch? Ain't you tired? Trying to strike a chord and it's probably A minor.
Yeah, it's probably not going to happen, is it?
The Brock and Dalby Podcast.
The Brock and Dalby Podcast.
It's official. Roll Up the Rim to Win is back at Tim Hortons, so it's time to say
welcome back
to Roll Up the Rim, especially due to the fact that it is legit Roll Up the Rim once again. Yes, you actually have to roll up the rim like the good old days.
Welcome back.
With that being said, welcome back to using your teeth and never your fingers like the commercial.
Welcome back.
Does anybody actually use their fingers? I feel like that's not a thing. I'd also like to say welcome back to dads making that cheesy joke of re-rolling the rim after getting a please play again and going, I guess I get to play again. Up and down, up and down. Welcome back to waiting in line for someone rummaging through their purse, looking for their free tabs to get their coffee.
Welcome back.
Welcome back to being annoyed someone won something when you paid for their coffee.
Welcome back.
And finally, welcome back to them still getting your order wrong.
Welcome back.
You can bring back something old, but Timmy's going to still Timmy.
The Brock and Dalby Podcast.
If you're officially over winter, I do have some good news for you. I don't know if you've realized, but we are officially 2 weeks away from daylight savings time. Yes, the clocks will spring forward in 2 weeks, which means we're going to get brighter mornings. We're going to get the sun staying out a little bit later. I mean, dude, things are already turning around. Spring training just started for baseball. Warm weather, Jays games on the horizon. I think we're like, 2 2 weeks out from March break for the kids, which is essentially like the 3/4 mark of school almost being up. Soon enough, the Cobra chickens will be back to terrorize us. You'll be cleaning up all that dog dookie. You let the snow hide. I mean, overall, let me do some quick math. I think we're, 25, 26 days away from spring. The shovels, the boots, forgetting to warm up your car in the morning is almost over, my dude. We are this close to being able to smoke a dart outside and not freezing our asses off. The signs are all there, man. I mean, hell, it's going to be +3 today. I got a call from the Chevy dealership on Friday asking me if I wanted to book to schedule my summer tires. All the signs are there, and eventually the potholes will be too.
This is the Brock and Dalby Podcast.
Ed's word of the day.
Let's see what he's got.
Good morning. Today's word is it's vituperation. Vituperation. VITUPERAION. Vituperation. All right. And it's harsh or abusive language to pretty much most construction sites. I guess. Anyway, that just about does it. Have a great one. Cheers.
I get what Ed's going for on the joke there with the construction site thing, but I think vituperation is more the abusive kind of side of things. I mean, it's not just like busting balls. It's more or less, bullying, right? Which actually is a great word ahead of Wednesday, which if you didn't know, Wednesday is Pink Shirt Day, a day to stand up against bullying and promote kindness and inclusivity, which I do think is a big day, especially for like kids to be able to go to school and, you put the pink shirt on and it's really a big message to the youth to take a stand against this kind of stuff. And I think it's not only important for kids, but even as adults. I mean, bullying still happens in adulthood, whether it's at work or online. I mean, dude, especially online these days. There's a lot of people feel comfortable using vituperation behind a screen right now, and I think the biggest message that I could give to you today ahead of Pink Shirt Day, it's very simple. Don't be a dick, dude. Life sucks as hard as it is. Just because your life sucks doesn't mean you got to make someone else's life suck even more. All right? Don't be a vituperator. All right? Which essentially just means don't be a dick.
For more Brock and Dalby, tune in weekday mornings 5:30 to 9.
The Brock and Dalby Podcast is brought to you by badshop.ca, the Brock and Dalby merch store, with all proceeds going to the Canadian Cancer Society.